Hello and welcome back to what did I call this? Max XP for RPGs. Sorry, not JRPGs. RPGs. I forgot the name of my own podcast. We're doing great. We're doing great today. How are you? You doing okay? You having a good day? Having a good week? Is it the weekend? Have you done anything fun? What am I playing right now? I am playing Shin Megami Tensei 5. Crazy, right? I had to re-record the first episode of the podcast, as I said, because I recorded it and then for some reason it didn't save, so I had to redo it. So there might not be very good continuity between episode 1 and episode 2, but here we go with episode 3. And anyway. Still playing Knights of the Old Republic. I've got my lightsaber, and I am one happy Jedi. And I'm gonna play Knights of the Old Republic on the light side. I actually chose to be a scoundrel consular because apparently those two kind of mesh together in a weird way. And so far, I have had a lot of fun. It's been a blast in that game. But Shin Megami Tensei, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but yeah, it's pretty great. Y'all need to give that a shot. If you like the turn-based kind of thing, do give it a shot. It is so cool. So today's topic is the fact that I can be a contrarian in many ways. And in this instance, it's because I like Tales of Zestiria. I've heard so many times from so many people that Tales of Zestiria is terrible. It is bad. It is not worth anybody's time. I heartily disagree. Particularly if you're a Tales fan, if you like the action RPG kind of thing. I remember the time I played it, I really liked it, but no one else around me did. And if anyone, well, at least those that even knew what it was. For those who don't know Tales, the Tales series. Tales is a series that goes way back to the 90s. It's always been kind of like it almost wants to be like that turn-based kind of thing where you run into an enemy, or in some games there's random encounters, and then you go into a battle. But instead of going through a menu and picking your attacks, it's an action-based attack system. Zestiria, I think, moved forward with a little bit in that every battle, you run into an enemy in the field, and the area that you run into them stays the same. The only difference is more enemies generate to kind of fit in for that encounter. If that makes any sense. Hopefully that makes sense. But it's still a very, very entertaining action RPG. The controls are a little wonky for the combat. That's one thing I do remember. But I really liked the characters, I really liked the world, and I liked the story. I thought the story was very interesting, and and I'm going off memory here. I haven't played Tales of Zestiria in a long time, but what I remember is that there's a I think it's a malignance or something like that, like an evil power. Like, as people focus on their negative emotions, the more negative they become, the darker, obviously, darker person they become. But when they pass a certain threshold, they turn into beasts. And the thing that I found interesting with Tales of Zestiria is it definitely emphasizes that you can save a lot of people, but there's just no way to save everyone. And it's kind of a sobering thought, and the game portrays it in a way that I don't know. It's very, how do I put it? It's the story itself is fulfilling, but it's humbling, I think, is a way to put it. You want to save the world. Your character wants to save the world. Sora is the main character of the game. He wants to save the world, but there's just no way to save everyone in the world. So The story itself kind of has a darker, more realistic feel to it. The graphics are definitely anime because that's the Tales series. And I mean, if you've played Tales of Arise and want to go back to Zestiria, be prepared because the combat will be a lot more janky than Tales of Arise. I've played Tales of Arise a little bit, and the combat in that game is so fluid. The world itself is so big and broad, and that's one thing that the two games have in common. They have a big, broad, and semi-open world, I guess you could call it, except for Tales of Arise has more worlds, I guess you could say. And Tales of Zestiria just takes place on a single planet because it's meant to be more of a medieval kind of style. Excuse me. There's, I don't know, the openness between the two, I think, is the best comparison. Whereas the follow-up to Tales of Zestiria, Tales of Berseria, felt very linear to me, and Zestiria just felt a little bit more open. The only thing I didn't really like about Zestiria was the character fusion thing that happened. I always thought that was a little. I always thought that was kind of weird, and I don't really like character fusion anyway. I mean, you know, like, people will bring up Dragon Ball Z with character fusion. I'm like, well, that takes two good characters and meshes them into. I mean, it can become another good character, but that, like, it removes two characters and brings out one. So, I mean, for me, like, I don't watch Dragon Ball Z anymore. I haven't watched Dragon Ball in years, and I can't really drag myself to go back to it. Don't ask me why. I don't have an answer. Vegeta was always my favorite character because you saw his arc going from, like, hardcore sociopathic villain to anti-hero to all-around a good guy. It took a long time to get to that all-around good guy, but he eventually made it. At least, you know, in the Dragon Ball Z Dragon Ball Z saga, towards the end of that. We're not going to talk about Dragon Ball GT or Dragon Ball Super. Dragon Ball GT was terrible, and that's probably where I kind of lost my interest with Dragon Ball in its entirety. And Dragon Ball Super, I've just never had much interest. I think I just aged out of it. Anyway, we're not talking about that. We're talking about Tales of Zestiria. One thing that actually drives me nuts about the internet is that there's these trains that people get on. There's the hate train, and then there's the Contrarian train, which is typically the one I'm on. The Contrarian train, people are afraid of because people want to be liked on the internet. Apparently, I'm not one of them. And then there's the hate train, which everyone will jump on the second there's something to hate, because that will get, you know, they're hoping that will get them some attention. When it comes to Tales of Zestiria, the only attention you get if you say you like it is very negative attention. So, me being on the Contrarian train, people are going to kind of point and be like, dude, what the freak? What are you, dumb? And I'm like, well, maybe a little bit. But I liked the game. I thought it was fun. I thought the combat was entertaining. Again, kind of clunky. The world was fun. The story was fun. And if you haven't tried it and you got on the hate train, dude, we need to have a chat. Because, like, don't get on the hate train if you never actually played something. And, you know, I've experienced personally with some friends that were kind of younger. I'm gonna go towards Pokemon because that's one of the biggest. That's one of the funniest things to me. I had friends both around my age and as well as much younger than me that were like, oh, only the first 150 are good. Everything after that is man. And I was like, well, then did you play any of the games? Like, well, no. How do you know? How did you form the opinion that only the first 150 are good? I mean, the answer is they heard it from someone else, and that's how they gained that opinion, because they heard that from someone else and like, oh, that must be the popular opinion. I think I'm going to roll with that because I don't want to be, one of those people that gets on the contrarian train. No, I think the moral of the story with me liking Tales of Zestiria is, do you like what you like? It don't matter what anybody else thinks. If, people point and make fun and whatever, yeah, it's their prerogative. You can take offense if you want. That's your choice. But, people will say what they say. And, for me, I've had a lot of people tell me, like, oh, Tales of Zestiria is terrible. Why do you like something that's terrible? And I'm like, well, I'm a glutton for punishment. That's the only answer I can give you. And one of them, let me be real here, one of them that I asked, like, why do you hate Tales of Zestiria? And they're like, well, it's just a bad game. And I'm like, did you play it? And they're like, well, no. And I'm like, what? No, that's not allowed. No, I'm gonna put the stop right there button right here. And I'm gonna say, if you need to form an opinion, you need to actually give it a shot and then tell me it's bad. Because if you just tell me it's bad because you heard somebody else say it, that don't count. That's not an opinion. That's I don't know. That's a train ride. A train ticket, if you will. You're on the hate train. Your ticket's fresh, but you tore it off with somebody else's ticket. So, but if you haven't played Tales of Zestiria and you have the system to play it, it's on PS3 and PS4. I'm not sure what other console it's out for. If you haven't realized by now, I'm a huge Nintendo Switch fanatic. I have an Xbox One, but very rarely do I use it for the purpose it's designed for. I use it to watch anime and movies and TV shows, and very, very rarely do I use my Xbox for the purpose for the original purpose of its design. My wife is the big Xbox player. She loves Halo. That's like her favorite series ever. Halo Reach is her favorite game ever. Other than Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, I think that one may have taken the cake, but Halo is still up there for her favorite game. Halo Reach, sorry. So I don't have a system to play Tales of Zestiria anymore. I don't think it's on Xbox. Pretty positive it's not. But if you have a system to play it, go and play it. Give it a shot. Form your own opinion. And if you don't want to, I don't care. Do what you want to do. But it's a fun game. It's one of those early attempts at the open world, and I think they did pretty good with it, because I loved I would pick up the game just to go and wander around the open world and run into enemies and pick some fights, and yeah, I had a lot of fun doing that. And I remember very early on in the game, I spent a lot of time grinding, and I had no issue with anyone that was picking fights with me after that. Even the first boss fight, after you pick up, what's her name, the princess, Lila, I think it's Lily. I can't remember. It has been so long. It starts with an L and ends with a Y. That's all I know. Or it might be an A. Anyway, the first boss fight, after picking her up, I remember I creamed the guy, and I was like, well, what did I do? I even had it on the normal setting, so I'm like, this is supposed to be a little bit of a challenge, right? No, it's because I would just go out and wander in the world and just have fun playing the game and fighting and exploring, and that's I think the purpose of a good semi-open or open world game is having fun just being in the world. I think nowadays we kind of want those big open world games because we want the freedom. But at the same time, if the gameplay itself doesn't lend itself to something entertaining, so you're just kind of wandering an open world, and that's honestly one of the big, like, I love Breath of the Wild, but my big concern with it is that, sorry, my phone just went off, is that the open world is big, and oh my gosh, it's so fun to explore, but the combat just wasn't very fun in Breath of the Wild, and I think the reason it wasn't fun is because I was always expecting my freaking weapons to break every 6 seconds, and that drove me insane. So Tales of Zestiria, which has this open world and not breakable weapons, like, that I think was one of the best ways to do an open world, at least to start. Yeah, that's all I have for today. Go play Tales of Zestiria if you can. Right now I know it's cheap. Oh, it's on Steam. It's on Steam as well. I think I might actually pick up a Steam copy because hopefully my computer can run that. My computer can run Unity and Unreal, and I can do game development, so hopefully it can run something on Steam. So anyway, that's all I got for today. So I will see you next time.